Oh, there it goes. Okay. I will be running this setup. Or I'll be doing arms. Hard mode, the hardest difficulty in this game. I'll be running it with any arms, which is going to be the custom loadout that I have equipped. The goal of this run is simply just to get to the end. We're gonna go after the boss, take them down, beat them up, and we're gonna be fast with our speedy fists of speed that do punching. Just doing a couple alert shares here and there on my end, and then I will likely start things up promptly. Just one last area. And we should be okay. Alright. Without further ado, let us get this rolling. So, I'm just gonna take a wild guess and say many people have not seen ARMS, or they are potentially fans of the series, or just haven't seen too much interaction with it these days. So what is ARMS essentially? Well, it is a fighting game, a 3D fighting game specifically. We play in an open field, and it's generally about, you've got these two things on your arms. Let's call them arms. And what you do with them is they're customizable, so you can swap them around to different tools for different matchups, different scenarios. And basically, it's like, the easiest way I generally call this is, think of a shooter and a boxing game combined into one. That's exactly what this is. Well, not maybe exactly, but it's a pretty solid combination. It makes sense to me, and that's what I find most important. So right now we are on the highest difficulty, the hard mode. Difficulty 7 is the most difficult challenge in this game. Well, in terms of single player content. Oh, he's gonna block that. So, we've started off pretty rough already. Misango can be one of the more trickier opponents to face off against due to his extremely patient his extremely defensive nature as an AI. A lot of it just turns into waiting for him to make an investment, a play that you can easily punish, capitalize on. And after that, we get to move on. So, my loadout is a little interesting here. I've developed this one specifically to be the most efficient possible for speedrunning. And it's got a couple of really nice arms in it. They're all designed for combo potential. The Whammer is probably the least combo-y of the arms, but it has a huge impact on it. It does a lot of damage and can give a solid beating to the opponent. Oh god, I'm with that. The Parabola, which is the metallic parasol I've got on the other side, and then the green Tribolt. Those two arms are a little more capable of being quick combo tools, are a little more capable of just working pretty effectively at just setting up combos, grabs, any kind of follow-ups, smooth plays, you know. So a lot of where my damage is coming from beyond like just strong hits are I'm going in for lots of grabs, and that's allowing me to deal a decent amount of damage. Hang on. Alright. It's actually got a few different modes in it as well beyond the fighting. We've got 3 party modes. The first one being that we're going to be participating in is target tests. And how this works is there's just a bunch of targets. We need to punch them down before the opponent does. Lillipop's got a lot of pretty light arms on her though. Unless I'm playing really greedily, I'm probably going to be able just to overwhelm her. So there's also 2 other modes. We'll see one of the others. You only get to see 2 of them in any run in this game, in Grand Prix mode. There's volleyball, there's basketball, and then there's targets. Right now, volleyball and basketball kind of work the way you would expect them to. They're exactly how they sound. Basketball is honestly kind of a little more entertaining to see because there's no basketball in it. The players become basketballs, so it's actually kind of funny to watch everyone dunk around. But volleyball is also pretty interesting because you're literally just punching a giant ball around. Alright, this guy's a little infamous in this run, Kid Cobra. Mostly because he's hot. Secondly, because his stage is a giant snake park and it's really, really annoying to play around in. If we can get him off the snake board, which we just have, it makes this a lot easier. But he can easily just get back right on. And now we have to chase him for a bit. And if we're not careful, he's going to just cause a lot of problems. Yeah, this is not a healthy start. I did give myself a lot of time to work on this run though, so we should be okay. Wow, I am just not having luck with this man. Yeah, like, it's really annoying to try to catch up to him when he's got the snake board. Like, it's very important to catch him as soon as possible, otherwise it can turn into this. It just turns into a very unfortunate mess. So we're gonna push him off quickly this time. And this one is gonna be a lot more favorable. As we're just gonna keep that pressure on him, make sure he can't hop onto the board. He doesn't get to do his little snake park tricks. He's just gonna get pummeled into dust. So there's a few options that you generally have when it comes to these fights. You've got attacks, you've got grabs, and you've got shield. And then mixing up your movement options, you can adjust those accordingly. To kind of just overwhelm your opponent or beat them out in a lot of matchup scenarios. There we go. Okay, we should be good now. You can also take your opponent's Nick board and be like, oh, cool and fancy. Dr. Coil's a little bit of an interesting character on this because of the fact that most characters have their dashes and their jumps to get around. Dr. Coil she doesn't have jumps. She levitates. So she can levitate slightly up, and she can levitate slightly down. And when she does that, it just makes her a lot harder to hit. She's the only character in this game that can properly do that. Most of the other characters have jumps as an option. They have to rely on that. So it allows... Oh, I should probably have those alerts off. Allows for her to be a pretty intimidating opponent. They can do some very scary things. Just because her movement speed allows her to be an exceptionally difficult target to catch. More difficult than even this pesky ninja right here. So what you're seeing a lot from, especially the opponent, not so much me, is they're all trying out these different arms, these different tools to try to fight me out. The AI just randomly chooses from a base loadout tool set. But it's a cool way to see how a lot of the arms and tools that the game has available. Oh. Because there's a lot of different ways you can play and fight, and it's really exciting to see how players have kind of grown to learn to like utilize all these different tool sets on all these different characters. One of the cool things about ARMS is every tool is usable on all characters. So the thing you're seeing on Ninjara here, I could throw it on Dr. Coil. The thing that's on me as Dr. Coil, we could throw it on Ninjara if we wanted. And it allows you to really mix things up for some really interesting matches. Alright, so we're not going to have the basketball. We're going to be moving over to volleyball instead. Which is still a pretty cool game. We're going to actually be facing off against one of the more difficult opponents for basketball, Bite and Bark. I actually spent some practice against him because he can be a little annoying because of the fact that he's got his doggo that he can just kind of throw shots at alongside with, and it causes a lot of problems. So generally what we're looking to do here is just try to get the ball to stay on his side. We're gonna lose this round, I'm pretty sure. Because it's exceptionally difficult to try to outzone this guy, because he's just got a couple of safe arms. He'll do a bunch of quick punches. He's probably one of the last guys you'd want to come across in volleyball. Like, genuinely. He's just really on top of catching a lot of things, a lot of attacks, a lot of setups. And he makes this a lot more difficult than it honestly should be. Like, most of the other AI could not catch that hit that I just landed, but he gets to land it just because he's got so many fast attacks, and he's got Doggo to help him. That Doggo saves him many, many issues. Okay, it's okay for us to lose that 1 point. Generally, you want to try to get this faster than 60 seconds. But against a character like Bite and Bark, the best you can generally do is just make it out with a couple point lead. Heading in, so there's still a few more matches that come up before we get to the last guy. We're actually already getting pretty close to the end, just completing that second minigame. Now it's just a few more fights, and then we'll be taking on the boss. So my loadout is designed very combo heavy, but there are slight adjustments to it, like the Parabolas here. These are more effective against heavy or armored characters, where the Tribal and the Whammer are more effective against lighter characters. So when we come across an armored character, we want to throw on something like the Parabolas here, just to get those stuns, so that we can follow it up with a grab or just more general damage. And it's gonna help us just take Mechanica down really quickly. Just looking for one more hit on her, essentially, and that should be enough. There you go. But yeah, generally, there's a lot going on in ARMS. The strategy generally for facing off against hard mode AI is just snuffing them out. They're usually pretty defensive. They're usually trying to wait and see what you do. But if you're just aggressive enough on them, they can't really keep up with you. Especially Dr. Coil. Because, like Bite and Bark, she gets a third attack. But her third attack kind of it allows her to do a little bit more, at least in the field of battle. You do have to charge it up though, so it's not always the easiest thing to have ready. Because of her movement, Dr. Coil does get around a lot of attacks that normally are really difficult to get around. She's basically like a flying UFO. She just floats around everything. And it causes the AI a lot of problems. They're usually not ready for her kind of movement. You get away with so many things that the AI just cannot keep up with, and it kind of gets funny sometimes. We might get a perfect here. You don't actually... Well, if it wasn't for the fact that it required you to take damage to not get a perfect, it'd actually be faster to not get a perfect. Because it does take another few moments, not too many, but a few moments to get that perfect screen to show up. Alright, this is going to be our last opponent before we move on to the final stage, Master Mummy. This guy's actually very notorious in speedruns, because normally he's not too strong of a character, generally tiered pretty lowly, but in speedruns he's super aggressive, and he'll just get up in your face, and he causes a lot of stress for a lot of runners. So you really have to be on top of things just to kind of keep him down. But we're going to have a good run against him, take him down relatively quickly, relatively safely. And we've even got a rush ready to move into this next round. Rushes are basically your super. When you throw them out, they're basically a more heightened power, or a much more powerful version of your initial attack. They do a lot more damage. You can't really combo them with anything else afterwards, unless, well, just generally, you can't. But they're really good finishers for combos. Like, say you get a stun, You get a couple of hits in there, you finish off with the rush, and it's going to be able to deal a heavy amount of damage. Alright, heading into the grand finals, our last match. Another advantage to playing Dr. Coyle is the fact that you actually get to skip a cutscene there that normally most characters would have to endure. It's not too much time, but the fact that you don't have to wait for this cutscene to start and then skip it makes it a lot easier. Also means you're playing against Max Brass rather than Dr. Coyle as the last opponent. And Dr. Coyle can be a little fickle as an opponent sometimes. Basically, the movement I'm doing right now, they do that as well, and it's just exceptionally difficult to keep up with. So you'll end up losing a lot of time because Coyle will just be dodging out of the way of everything. Oh, yeah, that's gonna catch. I haven't struggled as much against him in a while, but that is a first for everything. I'm not gonna let him take me down, though. We'll use my rush there. I'm gonna miss out on a lot of damage later on, but double glove brass is probably the worst way I could have to deal with him. Or the worst setup that he could have for me to have to deal with, so we're just gonna take the KO there. And we're just gonna try to utilize some strong momentum to take this second round a lot more favorably. So far we're having a decent amount of luck though, as he's just not keeping up with us. I'm getting some nice reads, and that's gonna be a quick KO there. That isn't all of it though. We do have one more part to this. If we just skip through this. Basically a giant floating head falls onto Max Brass. He becomes extra angry, extra corrupt, and he gains 4 more arms. So now we have to do the entire fight again without a timer this time, so this could go on for ages in some cases. This is actually a double whammer moment. I messed up my loadout. And yeah, generally now we're just have to fight him, but he's got 6 arms instead of 2. This is gonna be really rough because not only did I put on the I forgot to properly fully equip myself, but 4 was basically one of his strongest setups. And you really want to be on top of a strong setup for these rounds, as this dude is really tricky, and he can really crush you if you're not careful. We do have the positive side of the fact that because he's got all those nades, if we just hit one of them while he's kind of jumping around swinging, they can blow up in his face, and that's going to cause him a lot of damage. Let's see, what's he got? He's just got more gloves. Okay. Running this is one of the few cases where double whammer is actually viable. Usually double whammer is not a good loadout when you're playing arms, but speedrunning against headlock, it's a pretty good time. We can just snuff him out like a flame. Almost got the perfect off of him. Just need one more hit. Oh, that was a self-explosion. I want a flat hit. No, come on! Your explosions, they need to take you down! You have too much health, man! There you go. Now he's down. He has slept with the fishes. He is unconscious forever. And that is the run. Finish right there on the next. And that's how quick was that? About 25 minutes, so it's not the fastest of runs. I've done it in about 5-6 minutes faster than this. But we had a couple of rough matches and just a bit of bad luck here and there. I could have made that last part a lot cleaner. But overall, it was a fine enough run. And now we get to see fancy, silly stuff. But yeah, that's a quick showcase of ARMS speedrunning. Apologies for any issues, weird video things that might have happened.